Picture this. You wake up, scroll the headlines, and it feels like two different worlds are colliding. In one corner, real estate is reshaping itself in real time. In the other, science and business are racing to help us live longer and stay healthier. Today we're stitching those worlds together, because honestly, they're connected by the same thing: the way we're trying to buy time, buy stability, and buy a better future.
And the first story is the kind that makes the industry sit up straight. Real is acquiring Remax in a deal valued around $880 million. On paper, it's a merger headline. In practice, it's a bet on what the next era of real estate brokerage looks like. Right, because this isn't just adding logos together. The combined footprint is enormous, something like 180,000 agents globally. And what's interesting is the strategy, blending old-school franchising power with a more modern, fintech-flavored platform approach.
Which raises the obvious question: is this about scale, or is it about survival? Traditional brokerage models have been under pressure. Tech-forward firms want a sleek agent experience. Franchises want consistency and reach. Now you've got a company trying to do both.
And the CEOs are saying the deal came together fast because the culture fit was already there. Lots of mutual respect, shared vision, that kind of language. But there's a real point behind it. Culture matters more when you're trying to merge two different operating systems, not just two balance sheets. Still, let's not pretend it's all vibes. Integrating models is hard, and the industry's not exactly in an easy stretch. Which leads us to the second thread: homeowners and lenders operating under stress, especially in places hit by disaster.
Los Angeles is still recovering from devastating wildfires, and the conversation is shifting from immediate loss to long-term housing stability. California officials are moving forward with laws that can require up to a year of mortgage relief in certain cases. That's huge for families who are dealing with insurance calls, temporary housing, rebuilding timelines, and suddenly they're also supposed to make a normal mortgage payment like nothing happened. On the federal side, there's also pressure from leadership telling banks to treat victims fairly. And that word, fairly, does a lot of work. Because relief only helps if it's accessible, consistent, and not buried under confusing processes. The real test is what happens when thousands of people all need the same kind of flexibility at the same time. Which brings us to a quieter but important shift. Ginnie Mae is changing how delinquency ratios are calculated starting in 2026. Specifically, for a period of time, they'll stop counting certain FHA trial payment plans against lenders in the same way.
In plain terms, that gives lenders some breathing room on reporting. It doesn't erase risk, but it changes the scoreboard. And that matters because the way performance is measured can influence how willing lenders are to offer workouts and trial plans in the first place.
Exactly. If the system punishes you for helping borrowers climb back to stability, fewer people get helped. So the math is policy, and policy becomes behavior.
Now, while all that's happening, the broker world is also gearing up for a new play. A former Rocket executive, Mike Fawaz, is launching a new broker platform in partnership with UWM, aiming to give independent brokers more tech and more lending muscle. And independent brokers have been looking for leverage. They need tools that feel modern. They need smoother operations, and they need partners that don't leave them behind when margins get tight. That idea of tight margins is everywhere. Whether you're talking brokerage, lending, or building homes, the industry is shifting from chasing volume to obsessing over capital efficiency. For a long time, the main sales pitch was basically, can you afford the monthly payment?
But more people are asking a different question now. Does this loan actually work for my long-term financial health? It's not just about getting into the house. It's about staying there without the debt becoming a trap.
And for lenders, that shift shows up as an AI imperative. Not a nice-to-have experiment. More like, if you don't use AI to lower operational costs and boost productivity, you might not be able to compete.
What's interesting is that the push isn't always about ripping out old systems. A lot of lenders want AI layered on top, improving workflows without replacing the core infrastructure they've already invested in.
Home builders are doing their own version of this. Take Century Communities. They've been leaning into a land strategy built around optionality. The simplified story is they structured land access in a way that helped protect margins and reduce incentives, even while deliveries slowed.
And that's a reminder that housing is a land business as much as it's a construction business. The land pipeline can either tie you up or set you free. Meanwhile, there's another housing storyline that's less about spreadsheets and more about people. Aging in place. Smart home technology is becoming a real lifeline for seniors who want to stay in their homes longer.
Sensors, monitoring tools, fall detection, automation that reduces daily friction. It's powerful. But the big obstacle is simple. Who pays for it? The tech exists, the need is obvious, and yet funding upgrades is still a hurdle for a lot of households.
That theme of affordability also popped up in policy. HUD is rolling back a rule that would have required new construction tied to FHA and USDA financing to meet strict 2021 energy codes. The argument is that those standards raised costs and priced out buyers.
It's a trade-off conversation, right? Energy efficiency versus immediate access. If the upfront cost blocks people from qualifying for a loan, you're not helping anyone buy. But if you loosen standards too much, you push future costs onto homeowners.
And speaking of costs, home prices are doing something that sounds subtle but is pretty meaningful. They're not keeping pace with inflation. Nominally, prices might inch up or stay flat. But in real terms, when inflation rises faster than home values, property value growth effectively shrinks.
That changes how homeowners feel too. People are used to hearing that housing always climbs. When it doesn't outpace the cost of living, the psychology shifts. The house stops feeling like a guaranteed escalator.
And more policy shifts are circling. There's talk of legislation that would let seniors keep more of their Social Security benefits while continuing to work. At the same time, the mortgage world is watching potential changes in credit score models and what that could mean for risk across the system. Which is a good pivot to our second big theme today, longevity. Because if people live longer, everything we just talked about gets amplified. Longer retirements, longer mortgage horizons, more need for housing that supports aging, and a bigger market for staying healthy. One of the most striking developments is happening in biotech. In silico medicine has created a longevity board focused on using AI to accelerate the search for drugs that could slow aspects of aging. This is about shortening the timeline from research to viable therapies.
AI as a lab partner, not replacing scientists but helping sort possibilities faster than humans can. And if that works, it doesn't just change medicine, it changes the economics of aging. But longevity isn't only about high-tech breakthroughs. There's also this surprising research finding. Civic engagement, like voting, is linked with longer life. It sounds almost too simple, but the idea is that social connection and a sense of participation might be protective. It's wild because it reframes health as more than diet and exercise. Maybe a longer life is partly about feeling anchored to a community, having purpose, staying involved. And then you've got the timeless lessons from people like David Attenborough approaching 100 and the blue zones, those regions where people consistently live long, vibrant lives. The pattern tends to be less about miracle supplements and more about daily habits, movement, relationships, and routines you can sustain. Of course, the market hears longevity and immediately starts building products. Weighted vests for training, skincare designed around cellular health, you name it. Some of it is legit innovation, some of it is branding. Listeners should probably assume it's a mix. And behind all of it, there's the financial reality. If lifespans extend, the math gets harder. More people are staring at their savings and thinking, wait, does this last as long as I do? That's the quiet tension underwriting this whole episode. Real estate consolidation, mortgage relief, lender rules, AI-driven efficiency, smart homes, longevity science, different headlines, same underlying question. How do we build systems that hold up over longer, more uncertain lives? So if we zoom out, here's the resolution I keep coming back to. The real estate industry is trying to build scale, flexibility, and efficiency at the same time, and the longevity economy is trying to stretch health span while forcing us to rethink money, housing, and community.
And maybe the most practical takeaway is this. The future belongs to models that don't just get you through the next month, but set you up for the next decade. Whether that's a mortgage program designed with recovery in mind, a brokerage platform built to evolve, or a lifestyle that keeps you engaged and resilient.
That's our episode. If you're watching the housing market, keep an eye on how these rule changes and platform launches shift power. And if you're watching longevity, remember, it's not just about adding years, it's about what those years feel like and whether your finances and your home can support them. Please like, subscribe, and join us at I Am Healthy Money. Life has its ups and downs, but you're not alone. From 10 to 110, we're in this together, right here, right now.
We love ya.
That I've seen to make